We y'all ain't ready. I don't think y'all ready tonight. I don't think y'all ready tonight.
I do not own the rights to this song.
No, I don't. But you already know. Alexa, stop. I was feeling that joint right there. I was feeling that joint right there. What's going on, everybody? Live this joint. Welcome to
Mm,
another edition of Real Talk for Real Men on this Wednesday. How you doing, Tasha? How you doing, D?
I am all right. I cannot complain.
I'm good.
All right, all right. I have to get myself zoned up, y'all. Today was start day, so I literally got off work an hour late, dealing with numbskullery and foolishness. I
Mm.
ain't gonna say the other word. So I have to get myself mentally prepared to handle this topic, but I'm looking forward to it. So we're gonna kind of coast for about another 3 or 4 minutes. I want to give some people a chance to join. So as always, I like to kind of say hello to my normal people in my panel. So how are you guys' week? How's it going?
Ooh, I'm glad it's Wednesday. Let's just say that.
Mine has been going really good. I'm actually off work for this week and next week, so I've just been relaxing.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
good.
good.
Good deal. All right. You look relaxed then. No wonder you look so relaxed. Like
I,
you just been chilling on the beach or something. So
I am really relaxed.
good deal. Good deal. So for me, like Tasha, I'm glad that it's hump day. We've got past that. My week tends to go well once I get past this day. This is the toughest day because I close on Tuesdays and Wednesday get up early, and I've been going nonstop. But I want to thank everybody for joining us. We're going to have a fantastic conversation, I hope. Uh, no matter how many people on here. So we're going to talk about something serious tonight. So we're waiting on a few other people to join so we can get into it. But for you already tuning in, tonight we're going to be talking about something a little serious. We're going to be talking about emotional incest. And so I just wanted to kind of give a few more people an opportunity to kind of join on because as we get into it, this is not one of those subjects I'm going to backtrack a whole lot on. So anybody coming in late, hopefully you can get in where you fit in, because I really wanted to be able to cover this thoroughly. And let me say off the bat, I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't even play one here on Real Talk. I'm just a guy. You know, but what I do is I like to talk about things that are real. That is the moniker of the show. So I don't shy away from anything. And just so you know, I don't always pick the topics. This topic was picked by Tasha. So when we
Mhm.
get started, I'm going to let her kind of go into, why she wanted to bring this one to the forefront. And then, of course, if you throw out topics to me, I'm welcome. I'll pick them up. So welcome to Real Talk. Please, you're more than welcome to come on camera. I'd love to see some new faces. But even if you don't want to come on camera, I'd like to see some new commentary. Please shoot your questions, your comments, post them there. I've already listed the link where if you want to join. If you have Android, if you're doing this via phone, all you got to do is copy and paste that link in there. It's used best on Google Chrome. If you've got an iPhone, it's best if you use Safari. It's real simple. You'd be in my waiting room. You'll be able to come on, share your thoughts, share your views. We don't hurt you here at Real Talk for Real Men. We always give you a nice, soft place to land. And so, we my motto as I do my shows is we can even agree to disagree. So this is a safe forum where you can speak your opinion because we welcome everybody's opinion. That's how we learn. So I'm looking forward to hearing different viewpoints on the subject tonight. Welcome, Candace. How you doing, sweetheart?
Hey, I'm good. Hi, everybody.
No, I'm doing all right. How are you? I said you already started early with your wine.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so I had promised I was not going to drink tonight, but it's been a tough, rough
Yes,
day,
buddy.
long day. So I am going to imbibe a little later. I'm going to try to pace myself, but I am going to imbibe a little bit. Welcome, Sari. How you doing this evening, sis?
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I'm going to get started here, and I want to invite men. If you're around, please join this conversation. This is one of those topics where I'd love to hear your ideas. So I've sent out invites. I hope Kennard is able to join us. I hope he's running a little bit late. I invited Kendrick. You know what, Candace? I don't. I'm not sure. I know the I don't have the messenger for Hannah
Hannah.
and Bert. So if you would send them an invite, I'd love to have them on as a couple because this is a topic, especially if you have children,
Mhm.
that you'll find this one very interesting. I think enlightening, and hopefully you'll learn
Why are
something.
you waiting on me?
Legia out there, Yana, G. Paul, all of you guys. So hey, I'm welcoming. So we're gonna go ahead on and get started. So we're gonna get this thing cracking, just so you know. So okay, so I want to pause the blood seed, man. You know, I want to keep him quiet. No, okay, okay,
Shut up.
okay,
Don't.
okay. Tonight we're gonna be talking about emotional incest. And as I told you guys, anybody watching, I didn't choose tonight's topic, but I'm always looking for topics. I'm willing to do whatever. So, Tasha, I'm going to turn this over to you at the very beginning. And I want you to tell us, we did a little teaser. You know, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I want you to tell the audience, you know, as my co-host, why you thought this was a good topic to do.
It's a couple of reasons. From our teaser yesterday, I don't know who all saw it. There was a friend of mine who was put like in a kind of awkward situation with the mother of the boyfriend during a real awkward conversation. And the interaction basically was, she was checking her and her boyfriend's horoscope compatibility. You know, a lot of people do it. And the mother made some kind of offhand comment of similar to the fact of, I know if I was younger, we would have been together talking to her son. And also, well, we need to check what our horoscope compatibility would be. Very, very awkward. But then also, I've seen a few tweets that I found troubling as well. I saw a tweet, and I'm not on Twitter, but this is just stuff that I just see. I was on TikTok, and there was a screenshot of this tweet. This girl said, "I asked God to send me a man, and He sent me a son. And I asked God to send me a good man, and He sent me a son." And it was a picture of like her pregnancy test and everything. And it troubled me, and I knew that there was a name for this, and I really had to do some research for it because this is deeper than just what is it? It's just deeper than just a mother and son, relationship. How that can be, a mama's boy. It's deeper than that, and this can go for any relationship. This can be with mothers and daughters. One of those helicopter mothers who is too involved in her daughter's relationship, contacting the significant other, having those offhanded conversations. This is daughters and fathers as well, as how in some relationships where it's not sexual, we're not referring to sexual abuse here. We're referring to how it's just a little too close for comfort in the conversations and those topics that they discuss. It is about being so emotionally open, having those grown folk conversations with your kids, those sexual conversations. I mean, oversharing some things that your kids should never be privy to. That's what I wanted to bring to the light.
Okay. Okay. So thank you. And I appreciate you really laying out why it hit you. And she threw that at me. And the more I rolled it into my head, immediately I thought, well, you know what? This is an important topic because we always talk about the relationship between mothers and sons in particular. I've been talking about this for years. And then the more I thought about it, I even thought about, with daughters as well. It doesn't have to be one gender. And what really hit home for me as I thought about this and I started thinking about it, we talk about on our show, we've been doing this for a year, how parenting has changed. We just did a show a few times back where we talked about generations, and we really literally broke down the generations, the age gap. And so we are living in a time now where there aren't the traditional family households anymore. So the average household, you look around, there isn't a traditional setting where there's a father and a mother. The thought dad goes out and works, the woman stays home. We're in a whole different place now. We all know that in many cases in households, grandmothers are in their late 30s or 40s.
Mhm.
You know, we know that many in households, some parents and children are separated merely by 12, 13, 14 years sometimes. And so I'm sure you, like me, friends, you've seen relationships between a mother and child where it's more of a friendship.
Mhm.
And that's the part what really set me off, is because the more I watch things like TikTok, and I'm in several groups on Facebook, on social media, you know what I began to notice, especially since we all were quarantined during COVID-19, I began to notice the blurred lines between parents and children, because you don't have the traditional roles anymore where parents tell kids what to do and they do it. Now there's a conversation. The children feel like they can stand on their own and hold their own and say no and things of that nature. So I got to thinking about this, and I was like, wow, this might explain why so many people, in my case as a man, why so many women are not able to relate to normal relationships, you know. And I started thinking about the damage that some of this stuff could do. So I wanted to kind of explore this. So for the purposes of this conversation, let's get it out there and actually define what is emotional incest. Now, going around the panel real quick, when you hear incest, Sherry, when you hear the word incest, what does that make you think about?
Me, it makes me think about like someone sexually, you know, doing something to somebody or a kid or something.
Okay, you said a kid. Daracel, when you hear the word incest, what's it make you think of?
I think of an inappropriate sexual relationship with a family member, however you may be related, son, daughter, aunt, uncle, grandma, whatever. Just two people that are related and the relationship is inappropriate.
And that really nails it. So I wanted to get that out there for the record. So Sherry, just in case you were thinking, it's not a kid. It's an inappropriate relationship within family bounds.
Mhm.
Now, we're all on here African American. One of us got a little mixture in her, you know, but but we know as African Americans, we talked about family secrets,
Mhm.
a few shows back. And I even revealed on that show that I had sexual relations with family members. Look, that's not an easy thing to mention. I don't say it with pride. I say it with the ultimate revelation of that's just my experience. That's the truth. And if most people would be honest, it actually happens far more often than we actually admit to it.
Mhm.
But in this case, we're going to be talking about the inappropriate contact between parent and child. Now, because we're talking emotional incest, let me share some things with you and get you guys' thoughts on it. So right off the bat, emotional incest is not sexual. So let's get that out there right there,
Mhm.
because we all know that if we was talking about a parent in any context sleeping with their child, that's just nasty. Both of them need to be stoned and put so deep under the jail that none of them. That's just some nasty crap.
Right.
But we're not talking about that. But we are talking about the unhealthy emotional interactions that blurs the boundaries between adults and children in a psychologically inappropriate way. Now, that's a lot of words. That's
Mhm.
a lot of words, saying it that way. So I'm going to be giving some examples as I kind of get into it as well, you know. but it's also called covert incest.
Mhm.
And when you hear the word covert, you think about hiding something, you know. And so that term was used because this type of inappropriate relationship is less noticeable than if you went out and touched
Yeah.
somebody,
Mhm.
Mhm.
you know. So I want to ask the panel, thinking about it from that context, that level of inappropriate contact from parent to child, have you ever seen examples of this? Anybody?
Yeah,
Yes.
I know I have. Not in my own family, but I know I have. There's
Okay.
people that I know that I feel like have overshared too personal experiences with their child, or they look to just for that child to be a emotional support person. When I've overheard conversations between friends and their parents to where you're the only one that I can talk to about this. Your father doesn't understand me the way that you do. Even something as innocent as calling a little boy my little man, that it's uncomfortable for me.
Okay. Okay. Who else said that they've seen examples of this?
I have.
Okay, D, what's been your experience in with this?
My experience is seeing people who overshare things about their relationship with their children, and whether the child is like age appropriate or not, it's like intimate details about their sex life. When the guy does something to hurt them in the relationship, they run to the child for like support, and they try to turn the child against that person by telling them all these negative things about the guy. So they'll say, oh, he did this to me and I hate him and that's why I put him out. And but that's not for a child to be involved in. And another thing that I hate is when adults involve children in money, and
Mm,
they say, well, I'm not, we can't afford this because I got bills to pay. And that's not a burden that a child should be having to carry, So I think that's another way too, just kind of putting kids in, or giving them information that's not really age appropriate, and, as a child that they shouldn't be involved in anyway.
I'm so glad you really brought that out, Darcel, because sometimes it could actually be information. The
Hmm.
way the parent-child relationship was originally designed, there should be a parent, there should be a child, and there should be a clear distinction in those roles. And so, like you said, it could be like imparting too much adult information on a kid to
Hmm.
where he or she is burdened with responsibility that should be on the parent.
Right.
But I'm gonna give you guys some others to think of. You know, how many times have we seen in our time parents partying with their kids?
Yes. A lot.
You know, once upon a time, believe it or not, I was the king of clubs. You know, I wasn't this fat slug you see here. I was slim and did my thing. I partied quite a bit. And I thought back to how many times when even going out, I actually knew people, they were going out. And I always thought that was inappropriate because growing up with my mom, and again, I'm 53, my mom is in her 80s. So it is the boundaries were set. I mean, for as far as I can remember, in our household, me and Sherry, his brother and sister, we heard, I'm the parent, you the child. I ain't your
mhm,
equal. That was inbred in us so deeply. There was never going to be a blurring of the lines of whether she let you know, I am not your friend. And
Mhm.
I think about the generations that came after that. A lot of parents, they make that a goal. I'm going to be my child's best friend. How many times have we heard that?
A lot.
yeah, a
I'm going
lot.
to be my child's
Yeah.
best friend. And
Not
so
in
I
my
want to
home.
I want to be clear because we're talking about blurring the lines. We're not saying in any way that a mother and a daughter can't go shopping together. We're not saying that. You know, a mother and a daughter going out to get their hair nailed, their spa day. We're not saying a mom can't take her son to the movies. We're talking about when it becomes inappropriate, you know. And I'll throw another one on you. How about the father and the 14, 15-year-old daughter who comes in, and every time she comes in, she plops down on his lap?
That's nasty.
I was going to ask you as women, how do you feel about that?
That's uncomfortable. I remember when I can tell you the day that I stopped sitting in my dad's lap. But he told me, he was like, "You too damn big to be sitting in my lap now." And I wasn't even that old. He was just like, "You too damn big." But
Yeah.
I remember that because it comes a time frame, just like this is something that I have seen that makes me also uncomfortable when parents still kiss their kids on the mouth after a certain age.
Mm.
That is so cringe for me. The Cosby Show, he kissed them like directly on the lips all the time, and I know it's a show, but Jesus Christ, like, come on, like, that's nasty.
Think about Hollywood premieres, when the Grammys or whatnot, and you see sons show up with their mom as the date.
Mm.
You know, now it's one thing when, hey, I'm having a great accomplishment. I want my parent to be there. But I've seen some cringe-worthy moments where literally they're like there as a date. And then it's one thing when you do it one time, but at every premiere, your parent is your date.
Mm.
You kind of start to have to wonder, what's going on here. So there are three different types of incest, emotional incest. You got overt, covert, and emotional. Now, incest, that's where the sexual energy takes place without touching. And as I read this, I want you guys to formulate in your mind, where have you seen this? So remember, covert incest is the sexual energy without touching now.
Mhm.
So this is going to include things like peering at the child, having an inappropriate crush, inappropriate sexual talk, coming into the bathroom, you know, and walking in a room while the child is undressing.
Mm.
Put that in your brain. What's going on, Jenny P? How you doing? Now, I hate to say this out loud, but I'm going to say it. We just had a former president. What did you guys think of his relationship with his daughter?
It was very inappropriate. Very. He even said that if she was not his daughter, he would be dating her. That was for me. And if you just look at pictures of her growing up, she's always sitting on his lap. He was always saying really inappropriate things about her. She would just like laugh it off. But I was convinced that at some point he probably did molest her, but for her to stay in the money situation, she just bypassed it. It's like, that's just kind of how daddy is. But I'll tell you, like my own example, the first time I ever went to a strip club, I was 15 with my stepdad. The first time I ever saw porn was on a TV screen with my stepdad. So sometimes
Wow.
it's very obvious. He never touched me or anything like that.
Wow.
He never
There
said
you
anything
go.
outwardly, but all the sexual things were there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's big. I thought, man, I tell you, so these things get revealed, and then you tuck that back into your brain all of these years, and now you bring up that memory. You
Right.
know, think about the John Benet Ramsey case that's never been solved.
Right.
That was
Think
the
about.
brother. I solved it. It was the brother. That's the
Okay,
dude. And the
okay.
parents left
Definitely
the
was the
daughter. It was the
Tasha,
brother.
Tasha solved it absolutely.
Did.
But I'm not convinced it was the brother, and I'm gonna tell you why. And I bring that up in this context because if I'm a father and I had my little girl in these pageants and she's dressed up and made up to look like a little woman, I would never allow that as a dad. That to have my daughter that sexualized, and you
Mhm.
see, if you know anything about these pageants, they're little women.
Yeah.
They're literally little women. And don't think that only happens in white families. We all on here black. Let's talk about even in African American communities, our little daughters are in these what you call these little where they flip.
Dancing,
Yeah,
dancers.
the gymnastic
You know what I'm saying? Little
yeah.
dance troops and whatnot. Their little butts scrimped up all tight in these little pants and this and that. They flipping around. I mean, when you think of some of this stuff, it's kind of inappropriate, and there's nobody stepping in, and parents are cheering them on. You think about these things, you know. So that one was covert. Overt incest is sexual contact by a relative. So that's just plain and simple. So that's the one that I experienced. My mama didn't touch me. I was sorry, mom. I didn't find you attractive. So that didn't happen. you know, so that wasn't gonna happen. But there was cousins, and that it happened. So that's a different type that happened. And finally, you got emotional incest. It talks about when the roles are reversed, and it gives an example. A parent is lonely and turns to the child for support. The child becomes the adult emotionally, and the adult becomes the child. And again, the parent and the child are best friends. The parent and the child are emotionally enmeshed because now you've erased the boundaries. What do you guys think about that?
It is such a real thing, and I think we see it a lot with celebrities where it's like fully on display. I think with the Kardashian, that's definitely an element there with Chris and Kim.
Oh yeah.
I think with what Vanessa Bryan is going through with her mother, I think that there's a level of that there as well.
Right.
It's again, it's one of those things that you don't know what it is, but you know that it's not right. You can't call it, but you're like, that's not right.
You know it. You know it when you see it.
Mm-hmm.
You know it when you see it. Absolutely. So okay. We've kind of really got into it. So I want to talk about in what ways does emotional incest manifest itself and investigate that a little bit further. So I've got some scenarios here, and I'm going to bring them up, excuse me, and then I want to get you guys' take on it. But I want to do something a little different with this. I don't want to just talk about it in the abstract context. I wanted you guys, and I want to discuss it on here as to how you guys think this relates, how it affects relationships between men and women. Because we can sit here, like I said, and we've seen those examples of famous people, but I wanted to get real. This show is called Real Talk for Real Men. Darcel, you froze up right when you was getting ready to take a drink. What's going on, brother Kennard? So I'm gonna bring some examples, but I want us to talk about it in a real way in terms of how it affects interrelationships between men and women today. So the first one we're going to talk about, we kind of mentioned it, but I want to go into it a little deeper. Asking the child for advice on adult issues. Darcel, you touched on that, especially on matters of money and things like that. So I'm going to read a little bit of this to this. It talks about spousal difficulties, sexual feelings, worries about problems that do not directly involve the child. Are all topics more suitable to discuss with adults? Inviting children into the problem of adult relationships can blur the boundaries. A parent should not have to rely on their child to guide them through romantic or social turmoil. By asking advice on adult issues, the child is subtly positioned in a place of responsibilities because now the roles are reversed. How do you think that plays into relationships between men and women in dating? Anybody?
Oh my God.
Well, one of the things is this: to ask a child any feedback about a relationship, I think is absolutely ridiculous to begin with, because a child is at no level of emotional wherewithal to even know what they are responding to. I think this is not so much about the child, it's more so about the adult. For number one, adult knows that they're in a really shaky situation. And they know that if they consult with an adult that is of sound mind and body, that adult is going to tell them you're a fucking idiot, for one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And two, a child is not going to, you just really, all that adult needs is a listening ear. They're actually, just talking to the child just to be able to vent to this child. They're not looking for anything in return. That child is just the person that's there. to listen to this bullshit. So, but what the parent doesn't understand is this: you're putting this child at an emotional state of discord to where the psychological realm, they insert all of this and they remember all of this. And especially for a male child, they're going to grow up and they're going to go, and because I did this as an adult male, they're going to grow up and they're going to say, the women that I deal with, I'm not going to treat them the way my mother was treated. And it's going to inadvertently turn that son into a what the world calls a simp, because a lot of the women, I mean, a lot of the men these women create, a lot of these women don't want these types of men. These roll out the red carpet kind of dudes. They want some, they kind of want some real dudes. They don't want some dude that's compensating and trying to make your life perfect because my mother's life was fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think
Okay.
in a way you create a situation to where women or whoever the parent may be, even if it's a man, I'll just say this from a man's perspective. I think sometimes women create the men that they think they want, but the kind of men that they would play.
Okay. Okay. Very good points. Okay, go ahead, Tasha.
I just wanted to say, to add on to what Kennard said, I think that it's often done sometimes with older kids, so it takes them, it cuts out their childhood. They're immediately thrust into the parents' role of the older children and having to look after them. So now they no longer have
Yeah,
a childhood, and so they lose their innocence. And it can also,
exactly. And
lead
then
to.
there's a situation. There's a situation to where I'm actually the older sibling, right?
Okay.
And um, I have 3 younger brothers. And at times when they would do something, especially with the father not being around, when they would do something, say negative, I would kind of blame myself because I would think, well, what didn't I do to be the best example at 7 fucking years old? You know what I'm saying? What
Okay.
did I not do to, be the father figure that I shouldn't have had to be, as to why they may have turned out a certain way. So I think when these things happen, especially for those of us men who are who are in have the wherewithal or are still alive enough to say these types of things, we blame ourselves a lot of times for things that we shouldn't even be held accountable for.
Okay.
And it's
Good
and
point.
it's and
Good
it's
point.
unfortunate, but that's the position that we're put in.
Okay. So Sherry and D, I've got two examples of this, but I wanted to get your input if you had any input on that. We're talking about asking the child for advice on adult issues. D or Sherry?
I wanted to say,
Go ahead.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Mhm.
it paused on a little bit, but go ahead.
Okay. Okay. I was going to say, I've seen that it just builds distrust with the other sex. Because if your mom's always down in men and talking about how horrible they are, even before you start to date, you have this distrust of men in your head because you're either drawn to the same type of men that your mom dated that were horrible, or you're trying to go a totally different direction.
Okay.
And for me, my personal experience, because my mom involved me in a lot of adult things and stuff like that. I grew up not wanting to be like her. That was my thing. It just made me want
Yeah.
to be as far away from the type of person that she was as possible. So
Question. I got a question, D. So in
yeah,
wanting to avoid being like your mom, how did that impact you dealing with the opposite sex?
it steered me away from a lot of the red flags that I saw in men that she dated. It's some of the things that she did in her relationships. I mean, it made me more aware, but some
Okay.
women don't notice it. But the things that I saw that happened to her, I steered clear of those same type of men when they approached me. But like as far as me being a mom and a wife, you know, I feel like I'm 100% different than her because she was just a horrible mom and not a good wife and things like that. And
Okay.
so I wanted to be as far away from that also as possible.
Okay. Sherry, did you have anything to add?
Mhm.
Well, I'm kind of the opposite of you, D. I do have an adult child, but I always kept her innocence. And she would tell you she would want, if any, she would mind being a mother or a woman like me. Say for instance, you know what I'm saying, and that's the reason why. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because,
Okay. But what I'm asking about is the asking a child for advice on adult issues
Hmm.
and how that plays into the inappropriateness of that dealing with relationships. That's what I'm talking about.
right, but I'm saying, as far as I have asked my daughter advice on adult issues, you know, but pretty much when she was an adult.
Okay.
You
Okay.
understand?
Okay. So let me share what where I'm getting at. Two examples for you guys to consider. One dealing with the male, one dealing with the female,
Hmm.
for example. So when you got a male where the mom is sharing, asking for advice, and putting that male child in that position where he's to make decisions, or those roles have reversed. Let me tell
Hmm.
you how that directly affects things. So now you're sending a young man out into the world, and guess what happened? Guess what? He's looking for a woman like his mother that's broken and interdependent on him making the decision. That's
Right.
the manifestation of that. Because if
Hmm.
you're
You know what, Lee?
13, let me finish, Kennard. Because if you're 13,
Okay.
14
Okay.
years old, and
Hmm.
then your mom is constantly going to that child, you think
Yeah.
we ought to do this? You think we ought to do that? Well, what do you think? I was watching an episode of one of my favorite shows, Love It or Listed, and the mom literally was involving the young son to make major decisions about how the house should be designed. So guess what? Inadvertently, what she's doing to him is that when he gets grown and he's looking for a woman, he's going to be looking for what he sees. He's going to be looking for that woman who
Mhm.
cannot make independent decisions without him.
Right.
That's the manifestation of that. And real quick, Kennard, I ain't forgot you, but I want to give you an example on the
Oh
other
no, you
side.
good.
Let me give you an example on the other side. I was dating somebody that I was absolutely in love with. I fell in love with this person. But you know what? Through the entire relationship, I had to keep hearing about what her dad thinks
Uh,
because her dad, growing up with
Mhm.
that, D, you can feel this.
yeah.
Through the entire relationship, she talked so much about how her and her dad were best friends. They did everything together, and her dad talked to her about this and about that. And so, what happens is you got these women out here, and in their mind, dad put me up on game. Dad is educating me on how men is. But there is a flip side to that. As a dad, you're sharing so much inappropriate information with this young girl that now she thinks she's looking to date her dad. And I
Right.
can't tell you how many times I had to let her know before ultimately it ended. I'm not fucking your dad. I'm fucking you.
Mhm.
Your dad's going to cost you a relationship here, you know. And even when I met her dad, my thing was she wanted dad's approval on me, and me and Tasha experienced that watching a show just last week, and we were talking about this. So how
Hmm.
that manifests itself in terms of relationships is it creates people that have unrealistic expectations in the opposite sex and making bad choices. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Go ahead, my brother.
Yep. Oh no, you good. You actually brought up a lot of the points that I probably would have made because hell, I've kind of lost my train of thought. But either way,
Man.
like I
I
mean,
was I
shit.
was on I was on the roll. No,
But
I was on the roll, man. I'm sorry.
yeah. I mean, a lot of the things that I would have brought up, you actually brought up in it. It goes to that situation to where parents, I don't think parents really know, are conscious of that level of effect that they have on their children when they're bringing them, involving them in all of these adult type
Absolutely.
situations.
Absolutely.
So, my thing is this: I look at the fact that a lot of, I can only speak from being in a single mother type situation, to where I think it goes to show that the the gender roles are definitely apparent. Um, there is a certain entity to where I feel that from a woman's perspective, from what I've seen, that a woman needs a partner. If you're going to have children, you kind of sort of need a partner. I don't think it's effective overall, at least across the board. Now, yes, there are some situations where there's some totally successful single parents. But if you're looking for your child, your oldest son, to fill that void of the man that's not there,
Mm-hmm.
then we got some problems. And
We
then
gonna,
we
we
have
gonna get
to
to that.
we have to
We gonna get to
admit
that.
we
We gonna
have to
get to that.
admit, yeah, we have to admit that um maybe it's not so bad for a man to be around in the child's life, because I look at my own children. I would hate to think about what my children would be like if I wasn't there. Just
I
to be
got you.
real,
I got you.
because I can
But
feel
here's the point to that. Long as you don't blur those lines, so we're not talking about good parenting. We're talking about when it blurs the
right.
lines. So you're right. So you're right.
Now
I,
when you
I
get
think
now
a
when you
lot
get to the point where you're now when you get to the point where you are blurring lines to the point of inappropriate activity, to where you're trying to make the child your friend, or you're going out,
right,
or you're
right.
you're asking a child, especially let's say the age range, a child 17 and below, you're asking them to have input on how the hell is a damn child going to know whether this is the man for you or not, or the woman for you for not? They're freaking 17 years old. They don't know
Mhm.
shit.
Absolutely.
well, the thing
You know what I'm
about it,
saying? Like, what do they
Bernard,
know?
hold that thought because you're going into some of my other points. Go ahead, D.
when you're talking to
Oh,
a
okay, but
child about grown-up issues, you're not looking for an opinion. You're looking for a person that's going to agree with you. That's the thing. Your children are not going to
yeah,
say
and
anything
that's exactly
to
it.
you, no
Good
matter
point.
how old they are.
Good
You know,
point.
so and
They're
a
saying
lot of
like,
the
oh yeah, he's great.
right,
Good point.
a lot of the emotional incest, I don't think the parents
D.
realize that they're actually doing it because this is the only support system that they've ever had. Yes, can
That's
you
the
hear
point
me?
I want to take. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's one of the key
Can
points
you
I
guys
want to
hear me?
take away. That you've got
Okay.
that parent that unfortunately this is their only avenue they feel to be able to lean on. And I want to get the
Right.
point in of Kama Dizzy. Kama Dizzy, I love the name, first of all. Kama Dizzy says, she was talking about a point I was making. I hope you said that how we have had to become father figures by force. So a lot of young men are forced to grow up much quicker than they have to. So guess what, folks? How does that translate in terms of how we relate to each other? So if you've got a young man growing up in a household, and to Kama's Disney's point, and they're forced to become an adult way quicker than they have to, guess what happens, ladies? Now you wonder why you got a 40, 50-year-old man out there acting like he's in his 20s
Mhm.
because he's lost his childhood. So
Yeah.
when you see that guy, and we talked about club for earlier. So when you see that back in my clubbing days, D, Tasha, remember in those days when you see that 45-year-old man out there on the dance floor and he just getting and doing all the young dances? Now we're thinking to ourselves, you look like a damn fool. But the sad part about it, there's a psychology maybe behind why this person is chasing their youth because guess what? Maybe they grew up in a household where they were forced to make adult decisions for so long for what they lost their childhood. So now they can only relate to trying to be young and things of that nature. It matters, people. Jenny, I like your point earlier where you talked about for you it was a definite no-no of having daughters sitting on dad's lap, so I appreciate that. Let me go into a point to situation number two, because we're talking about in what ways does emotional incest manifest itself and how it impacts relationships. So this one is talking about the ego hunger. Check this out, y'all. It says sometimes parents will encourage or lead the child to consistently praise their effort or even personality. This can be done in the privacy of one's own home or in public where other adults can see the child's apparent adoration of the parent. The need to feel important can take over, forcing the child's visibility to take a backseat to the parent's esteem or narcissism. You get what they're talking about?
Man, that's so real. It is something that it is not even, you can see it when it happens because it's very obvious when it happens. And it's these accolades, these kudos, it's these attaboys that they're always in search of. And so in their relationships going forward, they're people pleasers is what I would call them, people pleasers. And they're always seeking the adoration of others. And I think that's why we have a lot of people who are so hung up on social media now. I think that's what we're seeing.
Yes, looking for likes.
Good point. Oh, D, you nailed it. You nailed it. You nailed it. And before you go there, let me share what I'm. In this case, what I see that manifests itself so much. This is not always mothers and sons. That's the obvious one. Now, right. And that's the obvious. Matter of fact, that's the obvious inappropriate one. I know situations where the mom was getting dressed and asked the son to zip her up.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it.
A hanger.
I've seen it. What's I'm gonna do you one worse. Oh no, I'm gonna do you one worse. How about?
And here's the thing about boys.
D, go ahead. I didn't hear you. D frozen. She froze. But not just zip her up.
Can you hear me? I guess I'm freezing up every or whatever.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, your connection is freezing.
So let me ask you, Freddie.
Go ahead.
If Mama would have asked you to put her dress down for her, you think that's inappropriate?
I do. Now, would I have done it? Of course, because you do what you're told to do. But okay. Before I finish that, go ahead. You had more thought to it. Go ahead.
No, I'm just asking if she have nobody else and she let's say she just came in from the hall and she asked you to zip her dress down. I don't understand. Like, why is that inappropriate?
Okay, so again, for me, as a child, I would have to do it. But here's the danger of that when that becomes somewhat of a norm situation, because I'm a teenager, my hormones are raging everywhere. So how do you know in those instances that now I'm starting to see my mom in a sexual way?
Mm-hmm.
The Oedipus complex.
Is it registering?
Well, you have to be a sick individual to be looking.
No, you got it twisted. A child's psychology is not formed yet. So let me share some things with you as a young man. When I'm in that age group of 12 to probably about 11 to probably about 16, Sherry, the wind could blow and my dick get hard. Everything turns me on. So it's no coincidence that in that age group, that's when brothers and sisters should stop sharing a room. Do you agree with that?
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Why? So why? Why do you think in that age group, we brother and sister, there came a time when undressing and dressing in front of each other was inappropriate? Why?
Yeah, because you could get hard. Plus, me and you shared the room, and I thought it was
I'm asking for real reasons
no,
that
and
you and I share the room.
yeah, me and you share the room,
So
and
why did it come to a point where, okay, now that's inappropriate for me to be when you dress and undress? Why?
Right.
no, I'm saying to you, we share the room, and I would never. Mama taught me not
You're
to.
not answering my question. I'm
Yeah,
asking you a question. Why did it come to a point that it was inappropriate for you and I to be watching each other dress and undress?
it's just that's just not proper because I'm
So,
a girl and you're a boy.
and you reached a point where we're no longer kids anymore. Now I got hair on my balls. You got
Right,
breasts.
right. But what reason why I
Oh,
said
no. I'm not leaving that point. So if I'm
mhm.
unzipping mom and I'm seeing things that I shouldn't see, you don't think that's inappropriate?
Mhm. It
I
is.
personally don't think it would be inappropriate to unzip your mother dress or zip her dress up if she have no one else there to do it. You understand?
I think she's missing the point. Somebody help me
Mhm.
out here.
I
No,
think,
no.
Barry, at the point where you're mature enough to notice the difference, that's when it becomes inappropriate. When my kids notice that, because if you notice, like as kids are little, they don't even notice that they got different parts. They don't. They take a bath together, they're splashing, they're playing.
You're
But
missing the point.
there
Mhm.
comes a point when you start to notice each other. Your hormones are raging. If you are in a room with your brother, yeah, he's your brother, but things happen between family members, as we've already talked about. And you having the body that I've heard you had in the past, and him being a teenage boy, there's nothing to say that it wouldn't happen. So that's why it's inappropriate. Whether you're brother, sister, whether you're friends, whether you're mom and dad, it's not appropriate to put your son in a situation where he can look at his mom as something sexual,
There
or
comes a there comes a
Mhm.
point. Our mom is 80 something years old
right,
now. So guess what? If I had to give her a bath, I'd have to give her a bath. You
right,
know, as they get older. We're not talking about isolated incidences where something like that has to be done. A family member is sick. You got to wipe them and clean them. They're an invalid. I'm
right,
talking about where you get to a point where that son is of an age where there should come a point where he doesn't need to see that. And if you got on a dress that you need my help to get out of, something is really wrong. Something is really wrong.
Because
Because if you can see the need that as a sister that okay, I don't want my brother helping me get undressed. Why would it be okay for your mother? Am I crazy here?
no, I would agree that me, like say, oh, a sister or something
no,
like that, yeah. But a mother, I just thought, you look at it different. But
Mhm.
me and you, what I was when you didn't let me say,
Uh-huh.
I felt like me and you shouldn't have been sharing a room because at them times, yeah, you was masturbating. I was finding towels with, you know, on it, so we should have had our own room. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I agree
So
with
so
that.
so in that instance, we grew up poor. There was no other room I could
Right,
play with.
right, right.
So the point to this is that yes, you're proving my point that I'm thinking about sex. You're
Right.
actually proving my point.
No, I agree with
So
that.
my thing is that knowing that's the case, now you can't sit here and tell the audience that I jacked my dick off in front of you.
No, nothing like that. But I'm just
So
talking about,
for all I know, you played in your pussy when I wasn't around. I don't know.
yeah, I could have.
But with that, but the point is that there comes a point where it becomes inappropriate to do certain things around each other. And if you can realize that as a brother and sister, it's even more inappropriate as a parent. You're a parent.
right.
True, but see, I tell people this all the time that got sons. I don't know how it is to raise a son because people tell me about that about boys. Yeah, I get it.
Sherry, imagine this. Imagine a man asking his daughter to undo his belt for him and unzip his pants. That's the same thing as a mom asking her son to unzip
Al-
her dress. It's the
Darcel,
same
thank you for bringing
thing.
that example
I get it. I get it.
because now you
Okay,
turned the tables, and all of a sudden, if it's the dad doing it, then
right,
Tony's her father. Oh my
right.
God, I didn't even think about that. Thank you. Tony's her father. Tony had a stroke. So we gonna talk some real shit on here? Let's talk some real shit.
Mhm.
So Tony's her dad. Would it be appropriate for him to say to his daughter, help me in the shower? I need you to help me get undressed.
No, that's
Yeah,
But he's had a stroke.
yeah, but I'm saying that's what I'm there here for.
What if you're
exactly.
No,
not
you're
around?
not
What, no,
there.
no. What if you just presented a situation? So what if you're not around? You're going somewhere. You down visiting mama. He's got to get in the shower, and he got to go take a number 2 dump. So he needs Cherish to help him get his pants down.
Nah, you know better. I know.
No,
See,
no. Stop. We're not talking about whether he knows it. Is that appropriate?
No, it's not. That's not appropriate. You're right.
So Darcel, thank you for presenting an opportunity because that's another beautiful point there.
right.
That we only see it if it's the opposite sex. Because again,
Mhm,
we don't want to see it when it's the mother and son because you can't see it that way. So I'm
right,
giving it to you in a real way.
So
right.
basically, but you're saying that because our mother's 85, say for instance, and if she can't do something certain, okay, like bathe herself, it's not appropriate for a son to do it. It's
You've completely missed the point. You've
no,
completely missed.
yes,
You've completely missed the point. Yeah,
because
you've completely missed the point.
I'm not getting.
So let me say again, we are not for the because I don't want anybody else listening to this to be on that same vein.
Right.
The whole point where we're talking about is inappropriate. So we are not talking about Gordians. We are not talking about isolated incidences where you deal with each other as a parent and as a child. Certainly, people, if your mom is sick or ill, or it can be a sister, brother, mom, aunt, and you
Mhm,
have to get them undressed, we're not talking about that. That clearly, we're not talking about that. I suffer from sciatica. And if you were staying with me last week, a couple of weeks ago, and I had to crawl to the bathroom, I might say, Sherry, I'm in dying agony pain. Hold me up, sis, while I take a piss and turn your head away. There
mhm,
are circumstances, Sherry, where you have to do certain things. So we're not talking about those instances. We're talking about knowing inappropriate behavior. Is that registering?
I got it.
right.
So in this instance, what we were talking about is a parent, and the example I'm giving is asking a son that's of a certain age to help her get undressed. Now, if you could see that that's
When
wrong
you are
well,
capable,
if you could see that that's wrong for Tony to do it to your daughter, I'm not understanding why you think any different if the roles are reversed. Because now
I'll
I,
say
because
this
now I don't understand.
because I'll say this too. There's a certain age where your parents, where you realize that your parents are naked in front of you. When you're younger, you don't. It doesn't register to you that they're
right,
naked. You don't point that out. How many kids do you know they take showers and stuff with their parents? There comes an age where your
right,
mom is not walking around the house titties swinging anymore, or your dad's not walking around the house just dick
right,
out. It's because you can pinpoint that, and it's not because you're looking for something sexual. It's just because
You don't
you
have to be
notice it
look.
now, and it's
um,
Thank
no
you.
longer
Thank
appropriate.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
right.
Okay, so let me jump back to the ego. Lynette, thank you for joining in, sweetheart. So I'm hoping I get your point that it is inappropriate for a father to ask his child to assist getting dressed, because again, that's a no-brainer.
Mhm,
But the
right.
beauty of what Sherry brought up is we can see it as a woman. We can see it so clear if the dad is asking, but
Mhm,
it's amazing how when it's the mom, we kind of say, well, what's wrong with that? So what have I been saying for years? Mothers and sons.
Mm.
Mothers and sons, you know.
mhm,
But when we brought up whether it's a father and a daughter, she's saying no. Oh hell no. He know better. So I want you to process that, sis. But okay, back to the ego hunter part,
yeah.
where that parent is seeking that unnecessary ego boost, and we were talking about social media and things like that. We see that happening as well, where the parent is looking for approval from the child on how I dress, how I look, things like that. And so again, how does that manifest itself in terms of how now we deal with each other individually as women and men? Think about that. So I'm gonna
I think
shift.
too.
Oh, go
I'm
ahead. I was
sorry.
gonna ask.
I
No,
was
go
gonna
D.
say,
Go
I
D.
think with boys especially too, as they get older, they look for a woman that looks like their mom, like body shape, the things that. Because I mean, everybody know I got a big butt, and my son, I've noticed, makes comments, and I'm like, well, that's not really appropriate for you to say. You have to like shut it down all the way. But there's a certain attraction, and as he gets older, I'm the only woman in the house. My daughter's little, but you know he's looking at me as the figure of what a woman is supposed to look like, body type, things like that. So you as a parent, I always think of the Oedipus complex. There's a natural state to being attracted to your parent, but it's the parent that shuts that down as soon as they notice it, as soon as it is there. And you have to tell your kids, well, no, that's not appropriate to say. No, that's not. But some women get infatuated with that, the child or the son who's 16, 17, 10, like, damn, mama, you look good in that dress. But that's not a really appropriate comment for you to say about your mom, it's just not.
And so let me flex my intellectual muscle here. In most cases, y'all know that I'm an opinionated asshole, but I'm also an educated person as well. So Darcel talked about the Oedipus complex. So the input of what she was saying, which I agree with, as children, we tend to look for mates that have qualities like our parents. That's what we see. But the key is here, guys, is as a parent to be able to guide that interest in a wholesome, healthy way. So guess what? When I look for a wife, Tasha, D, Sherry, I wanted my wife to have some qualities of my mom, the right ones. My mother is headstrong, opinionated, don't take no shit from nobody. That's what I fell in love with Michelle, that she could hold her own. One of the I'm sorry, I'm saying names of here. I shouldn't have said that. But one of the reasons why I think I fell in love with Michelle, and one of the reasons why my wife butted heads with my sisters in particular, she was a lot like my mother. She was small, petite, and she wasn't having it. She was not having it. But the key is that, thank God, my mom never let anything inappropriate go on. So the qualities I grew to admire as I got out there in the dating scene was Sherry, I wanted my wife to clean up like my mother because my mother kept a clean home. I zeroed in on those characteristics and qualities that I held in esteem that was like her, but not the inappropriate ones. Because our mother also told stories about putting her foot on the rock and letting the boys get the cock. And so I had to ignore those. This is a real, we keep it real. We keep it real. We're going to keep it real.
I like your mama.
But we keep it real. So that was things where I heard that, but I wouldn't dare in my mind picture my mom with her legs spread out on a big rock so where the boys could get a cock. I don't want to see that. I just don't want to see that. I'm making it funny, but I'm telling it in a very real way. But these things matter. They translate into how we deal with the opposite sex is what I'm trying to get at. Because even in the instance, Sherry, to where you got that daughter that's inappropriately seeing her father, then you wonder why that's the type of woman that has no boundaries that I can get and I can put her on her knees and have 3 or 4 people go down her throat. She don't have no boundaries. You know what I'm saying? It's no coincidence, I was a predator out there. I was a wild lion looking for the qualities that I could exploit. Let's just keep it honest. You know what I'm saying? But when you have somebody raised with a certain level of boundary, there were boundaries. Oh no, I don't do this. I don't do that. But it matters. Folks, it matters. Let's go to the third one. Let's go to the third one. What about the best friend syndrome? This is one that we all should be able to really appreciate how this really and truly impacts relationship between men and women. When a parent is best friends with their child, boundary issues often occur. Discipline, expectations, and personal responsibility are all impacted by this behavior. Having a confidant who is not capable or ready to handle adult relationships is forcing the child to set aside their social and psychological world for the sake of their parents. Think about that. Now, real quick, I'm going to put my sister on the spot here, but I'm going to put you on the spot in a good way. My sister and her daughter are best friends. They have one of the best relationships that you ever will want to see between a mother and a daughter. My sister knows where her child is at all times. Her daughter is a grown woman dating, kicking it, screwing. Let's be honest, you know. But if she goes somewhere, mama knows where she's at. She calls and says, I'm here or I'm there. I'm on my way home. They live in New York City, folks, and they have to. Me and my sister were talking about this today with people snatching women and nut holes out there. They keep a very close relationship with each other, but here's what they don't do. As close of friends as they are, they don't. Her daughter doesn't tell her about the position she was in and what she did last night. You know, they don't cross those boundaries. You know why? Because even though as adults they've been able to be good friends, my sister, when she was a child, let's go back to the reading now. My sister did set the expectations. She did have a lot of discipline, and she insisted on personal responsibility. Her daughter was washing dishes and cleaning the house and cooking full meals at what age, Sherry?
Sherry was washing dishes at about 9, and she was cooking and everything else at 12, a whole meal.
Could your daughter stay up as long as she wanted to?
No. She had us be in the bed at a certain time to have a bath in the bed. I don't care what the weekends, whatever. She had to do that.
I could go on and on and on. And I'm putting you on the spotlight for a reason. Because there's an example of it's okay when your child becomes grown to be friends and have the best relationship possible if you do it right. But this is not the ones we're talking about. We're talking about those relationships, and Sherry, you've seen this, where it's a different relationship because the mother and daughter or the mother and son are best friends and there's no respect. Am I lying, folks?
No. I've seen that. You'll see this especially. It's very prevalent in the workplace. Well, specifically with relationships between parents and children, if they're best friends and they don't set those clear boundaries, you see the child, sometimes they feel like they can't voice their opinion, or that if they try to speak up, then it's seen as rebellion. They're so overly concerned with trying to protect the mother or the father's feelings that they don't want to say it, and that they don't want to set clear boundaries for themselves. Or all of a sudden the parent decides that they want to become the parent, and now they say, oh, that's just a rebellious teenager. Well, no, you can't have it both ways.
You can't have it both ways. You can't have it
My
both ways.
experience is that I've seen when you party with your parents and your parents tell you about their sexual exploits, when they try to discipline you, it's no. You don't have no respect for them. And you feel like we're friends. You can't discipline me now after everything you told me, after everything I saw. So there's a lack of respect that just goes throughout. And a lot of that I see with men, especially in future relationships. You see these men that have no respect for their mom and talk to their mom any kind of way and treat their moms any kind of way. And you wonder, like, who raised you? And you
Sherry, is this hitting home?
Or it's the other way around. It could be to the extreme, Sherry, to where they're like their mother is their queen, even though she did some shit that's just like, what is this what is this? How can she be your queen? It's going to be one extreme or the other.
Mhm.
Sis, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. You nod your head. Is this real?
Yeah, it's very real.
And let me ask a question. We're not gonna say no names, but what happens when a son and a mother is more best friends than they are parent and child, and that child now has had no boundaries, grew up, have no respect for the mother? How does that son now treat women that he deal with? Go.
Very disrespectful because
Why?
he don't respect his mom. He never had respect for his mother. He didn't have no boundaries. And she didn't set no type of, what I'm saying, responsibility or none of that. You know what I'm saying? And then you allowed them to see too much of what you do.
Right.
You know,
And just like the dad, for a little girl, the dad is your expectation. For a boy, the mom is your how you're gonna treat future women. So if your mom allows you to disrespect her and mistreat her, if you do that to your mom, there is no other woman on this planet that you will respect. Period.
I was trying to get to that point, D.
Period.
I was
I'm
trying to
sorry.
get to that point right there. As a man, if you
Right,
disrespect your mother, all bets are off.
right, right.
The moment you call your mama a bitch and I don't on that hoe and fuck that, how
Yes.
in the hell, as
You
his
never gonna
woman, you
respect
think
me.
he gonna respect you? And he just cussed his mama out.
And women who are watching, that is red flag number one. If you ever are in his presence, he disrespect his mama in front of you, you don't stand a chance, baby. You need to run. Period.
Mhm.
I'm
You
I'm
need to
I'm
run.
I'm grown. I'm
Right,
grown. And
right,
I can't imagine under any circumstances cussing my mama out.
right.
I cannot imagine any circumstances
That's true.
going there. And so, because that's the case, don't get me wrong. Have I cussed a woman out? Yes, under various circumstances. But I'm saying that's not my MO.
Right.
Believe it or not, folks out there, for all of my hustling and bustling, the truth of the matter is, I actually put a woman up here first. My game is this: when I first meet you, you're actually here. You got something I want. You have the ability to go higher or go lower, depending on how you carry yourself. I got two women on here right now that when I met them, the principle was the same. Thought she was a beautiful. I met D as a cashier. First time
Mhm.
walking up, seeing her, they called me in. Oh, don't think for one moment I didn't see that fat pumping ass. Yes, I did. You know, I peeped it from every possible angle.
Oh,
I
gosh.
walked all around. I made excuses to go by and look at her. But because of the way she carried herself, not only did she stay here, she went here.
Hmm.
She went here. My baby girl Tasha, met her, came to my home, liked her from the first night because she sucked down that drink as quick as you could suck a golf ball through a hole, and asked for another. I didn't have to offer her. I said, that's my kind of person. And don't think for one moment I didn't think about trying to fuck with her like that. But because she set her standards up here,
Mhm.
that became my friend, and I see her in a different light.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's how you carry yourself. And I could tell those stories over and over and over because you got the other ones now that I start out treating you here, and then I throw something at you, and I realize, so shit, what you trying to do? It's whatever. Okay. So is it like that? You trying to suck some dick? Shit, it don't matter to me. For you know it, you on your knees, doing what you do best. It is what it is. I'm giving y'all some real talk here. What's going on, Shapana? How you doing, sweetie? I'm giving y'all some real talk because we laughing, but it matters. And the
Right.
truth of the matter is, a lot of this stems from your experiences of how you were raised in a relationship you have with your parent. And it's not always just the fathers and daughters. That's why I'm bringing up these examples. Let me give my last one before we move on to the next point. The therapist role, putting a child in the driver's seat of an emotional crisis or adult relationship, robs them of their own relationships and the ability to learn age appropriate socialization. I'm going to repeat that because that one for
Oh,
me
yeah.
hit.
Yes.
That one hit for me. Putting a child in the driver's seat of an emotional crisis, catch what we're saying, or adult relationships robs them of their own relationships and the ability to learn age appropriate socialization. Later in
Right.
life, the child may feel most comfortable taking care of someone else's emotional needs rather than their own. In some cases, it may be difficult for an adult child to have a stable romantic relationship since the need for crisis overrules the need for solidarity. Do y'all know what we're talking about here?
That is deep. Codependency and emotional caretaking is a real thing.
Speak.
And they're out there that they can't. That's why you have sometimes you have people who give such great advice, but they can't take it themselves.
Yes.
That's what that is. It's like, oh, you give great advice, but why don't you take it?
And what about the women that have these great relationships that you can see, but they always create drama? You like, girl.
Well, see,
Oh my God. I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
I think I got a little bit of that in me.
Why you say that?
Because
Right.
I didn't grow up with a father.
Right.
And because I didn't grow up with a father and I seen how our mother dealt with the man that she was with,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm the woman I am today.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly. Like I can't be with a man that, well, if a man was a person that was abusive,
Mm-hmm.
I would be in jail. Like it's very real.
That's different. That's different. That's different what this is talking about. What you're talking about is looking at the mistakes that a parent has made, and like Darcel, and you said, I'm not going to make those decisions.
Mm-hmm.
That's different.
Okay.
Like I've told many times, we come from a family, a large family, and none of us, brothers or sisters, have more than 3 kids. That's different because we were able to look at our mom's situation and say, damn, look at how hard her life is. And she did all this with no father involved. Ain't no freaking way I'm going to do that and put myself in that position. That's
Right.
different from what we're talking about. Sherry, what we're talking about, like Tasha said, is the codependency relationships that develops because a parent puts that child in a position to make decisions in crisis. So guess what we're talking about, sis? We're talking about situations where, Darcel, I know you can relate to this, where when you grow up with a mom that has alcohol issues, issues with getting beat, and she leans on you, you're the one that got to keep fixing her,
Yeah.
keep fixing him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That becomes your norm
Captain Save a Hoe. That's how
in a big way. You
And
know what I'm
in
saying?
your
what it is.
relationship, you want to find somebody that you can fix and you can save because you couldn't do it with your mom or your
Sherry,
dad.
do you understand what we're talking
You
about
gotta,
now?
you gotta do it in your relationship because you feel like you have more control. So you want to fix that person instead.
I got goosebumps because we all know women right
Right.
now that make horrible choices in the men because they keep picking somebody that they're gonna fix. Well, where did that come from? There's an laughing because you picking somebody that you got the guy that's standing in front of you don't need fixing. You don't want him. What this term that in the left now, he's a simp. He got a good job. He's stable. He not gonna hit you. He don't curse you. He educated. I don't want him. Let me get this more fool over here that he don't keep a job, but he trying. Well, he really
Yes.
don't hit me. He just be pushing me. You know, they get people. Go ahead, D.
I'm sorry. The sad part about that is you pass that trait to your daughters without even realizing it. they think they're going as far away from you in the dating world as possible, but from the outside looking in, you like you dating the same type of man,
Woo!
try to fix,
Woo!
try to save him. He putting all this emotional baggage on you, and you're carrying it and justifying it because that's the only thing you've ever known.
They
Absolutely.
so many women have this obsession, and I call it an obsession with the need to feel rescued. It's they always want to feel like someone's going to rescue them, whether it be financially, emotionally, or physically. They need to be rescued by someone, and that's where it comes from.
So, sis, do you get where we're going with this? Hannah says, she said, this show is a form of therapy. She said, y'all making me address childhood wounds in this joint. You know,
you preaching tonight, Black.
I'm sorry. Yo, once I take on a topic, you know I go all in, D. I don't play. I'm gonna do my research and I'm gonna come with it for real, for real. Shavana says, I need a respectful, cooperative thug. Baby, I understand. I understand. And that's the thing. It's okay to like the qualities you want, but thank you for saying that, Shavana. Make sure he's respectful. I'm not saying all thugs are bad. You know what I'm saying? I take pride in telling people I wasn't a sophisticated thug. Real talk, y'all. I couldn't get no chicks being a nerd like I was. I'll tell this audience a short story of how black was invented. A lot of people don't know this story of how black was even invented. They don't know the story. When I separated from my wife, and all of a sudden I had to get back out in the dating scene. Long story short, I used to go to Target. I saw this little chick I was feeling and everything. So, okay, I would go in Target every single day. And I did this for like a week. And finally, I got the nerve. I knew she liked me because every time I went to Target and bought even a candy bar or something, she had a little comment to say or whatever. But I was so out of practice having been married. So let me get my nerve up. So finally, I got my little nerve up. Now, keep in mind, back then I had a little swag. I had my thing together. So I said what I needed to say. She went for it. Now it was time to actually go on a date with her. And so I got petrified at the last minute and I called my boy. I said, look, I need to meet to make this a double date. So, man, he was like, oh, look, I need you, man. Because again, I was like, I don't know if I can handle this. I called him and I told him, I need you to back me up. I told her to bring a friend. Long story short, we go pick him up. And my boy, at that time, I was driving a company car. I think it was like a Ford Escort or something like that, and he had a little Mitsubishi, a sports car, so it was better. He had a little, it was tricked out. We go pick him up in a little sports car. Stopped at the liquor store, got some wine because we was gonna be sophisticated with it. Me and my boy, we took him back to his place. We serving wine, playing music, playing cards. During the course of the conversation, they start asking us all kinds of questions about what sexual positions we like. Do we have tattoos? How we treat women? Now, keep in mind, he and I, we both educated. We both working guys. We definitely simps. So we saying all the right things. Well, we respect women, and I got, at the time I wasn't black. Oh, Freddie, you got any tattoos? No. Would you get a tattoo? No, I'm scared to get a tattoo. I'm scared of pain. Blah blah blah. I'm answering these questions honestly and real. This shit goes on for an hour or so. So finally, I'm in the kitchen. I'm rubbing my hands together. I'm thinking it's going great. I come back to the table. the girls say, "All right, we get ready to go." Like what?
Didn't see that coming.
So what happened? Why y'all leaving so early? It's early. It's a Saturday night. Yeah, we're gonna go and everything, blah blah. So they left, and everything. So anyway, me and my boy, we sit around twiddling our thumbs and shit. We had spent money. We didn't know what had happened. So I got home and I'm walking around this big 3-bedroom house by myself, wondering what the hell did I do wrong. I called my nephew. And I told him the situation. He said, look, man, I'm going to tell you, he said, you too soft. You're a buster. He said they was trying to fuck, and he laid it out for me. So me being me, I sat in that house the rest of the weekend and I played the whole thing in my head, what I did wrong. And I was so angry, I decided to create and invent black. I literally created black. I chose a nickname that had a little bit of danger to it. It had a little bit of mystery. It was anonymous because there's so many blacks around. It was common. And I decided that everything in my personality that I was at the time, I'm going to be the opposite. Instead of, being this educated professional, I'm going to be a thug. And let me sit here and tell you right now, when the thug was born, they loved every bit of it. They loved every bit of me being a thug at that point, because now I was that person where honestly I could pinpoint the weakness in them and exploit it to the ultimate level. And that taught me a valuable lesson about how to deal with the opposite sex. Karma says,
Like a pimp.
oh, I became a pimp. And you ladies ride and die with me have seen me operate and do something low down and dirty. I've taken Darcel on picnics and cookouts with me with women that I was sleeping with, sisters and mothers, all at the same time, and showed up with her. It was what it was.
I'll tell you, when I met him, I didn't meet Freddie. I met Black. That's who I met. I didn't meet Freddie until some months later.
Right.
Yeah, I met Freddie, and had I met Black first, we probably wouldn't have been friends. But I met Freddie first.
That's the truth.
I don't.
But the only reason you met Freddie first, because you met me at my job.
At work,
so I had to be. And that's what made us so cool, is that at work, I was one way. The moment we left that parking lot,
it was on.
I remember the moment we hang out and it was like, damn, you cool as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Because now D was like, damn, he freaky as shit or whatever, but then that's the thing. Now, Tasha, you right. When you met me, I don't know, was I working at the time? I was at my apartment.
At the mall.
I was working at the mall. Okay. Oh my God. So she met me at the right time. I worked at the mall, and I was working in a little kiosk right across from a store where the strippers would go get dressed.
Wet
from.
Seal in the body shop.
So all day long, I saw hoes coming in. It was a whole aces in that joint. And when she met me, I stayed up all night running them through. Hence, I had chlamydia back to back because I was out there. So but anyway, I know I'm getting off to the point of this conversation. It matters. It really matters. I knew how to exploit those qualities in all seriousness, and it made a difference. And when I chose somebody to get serious about, I chose different.
But I don't like the simp term because it makes good guys.
I hate it too. I hate it too.
But not all girls want a thug. I've never dated the thug type. And if you tell me, oh, I slang, I sell drugs, and you got to go see, that is not me. I always want the nerdy guys. I always want the guys with a good job. I always want the guys that's going to call me, a lot and tell me you're beautiful and hey, beautiful. That's me. So guys, not all girls want the thug. I mean, shoot your shot, kind of feel it out and see what's going on,
I'm gonna ask you ladies a question. Shapana has a question, so I'm gonna ask you women before we get to closing out about how to actually recover from emotional incest. Shapana says, so do all Black people have a work them, a worked me, and after work, it's basically she's saying, you think all men have a work them?
Oh yes.
Oh, men, probably men. I thought she was just asking in general. No, I don't. I'm the same, but I'm real quiet at work. So unless you talk to me, you're not gonna hear anything.
Okay.
I think all men do, and I think women do too. I have a work me, and then I have a party me, and my after work me is nothing like my, everyday life me. I
Absolutely.
have the wife mom
Absolutely.
me, I have the girls trip me, and then I have the work me.
There you go.
Well,
Uh,
I'm gonna let you answer that. What you think about me? Because you know me.
what do you mean? What's the question, sis?
Do you think I gotta work me?
I think to answer the question, I think everybody has a work me. I
Mhm.
think as African Americans, it's inbred in us when we go to work to keep certain things under wrap. We put
Right.
on our quote unquote white voice, our quote unquote white attitude.
This is how
That's
it's
it. And I'm saying that for us in on this panel because we all of a certain age, and when we got a job, we want to keep the job.
Exactly.
Now this new generation, no,
Exactly.
they are who they are. You're gonna have to accept them because they don't give a damn about losing a job. They don't give a damn about how they're viewed. And so for them, when they walk in, that's what you get. That's why when you walk in a fast food place or
They rude
a
as
Family Dollar, that's what you're getting, that real person.
hell.
They will stand there right in front of you and say, I hate this damn job.
Mhm.
Blah, blah. I don't care what you do. You're getting the real them. But our generation, yeah, we all have a work me. We all have a work me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Okay. Let me close out by getting, I want to make sure we get back to, this. I actually skipped a whole section because we got sidetracked a little bit. Y'all know I do some serious research when I do this. So, but I don't want to leave this part out. How do we break the cycle of emotional incest? I am proud that we got to cover a lot of scenarios, a lot of systems. I hope that the audience understands a little bit better what we mean by it since we're talking about it, sis. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, with that said, how do we break the cycle then? Because again, we're not in any way saying that a mother and a child shouldn't be close, not on any level. You
Right.
know, there's no more beautiful sight when you see a father in the park with his daughters. We have a thing now called Girl Dad. When Kobe Bryant died, it
Mhm.
made a lot of fathers actually step up and actually appreciate having daughters for the first time. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Not to mention the fact that, as I said with my own sister as an example, if you can raise a child to where that child respects you at such a level that y'all have a friendship as well, but she still respects the boundaries of parenting, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the inappropriate relationships. We're talking about the ones that we know it's not sexual and touching, but we know it's just inappropriate in the different ways we discuss. So how do we break that cycle? So there's four ways that we talk about here. One of them is obvious. It's
Mhm.
therapy. I'm not going to read the whole thing about it. I I wanted that one in there because I think, well, I'm gonna leave my thoughts for last. What do you guys think about therapy breaking the cycle of what we see? What do you think is the value of that?
Ooh, the
I
value. Well, I
think
would say first and
therapy is.
foremost.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, D. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say the value of therapy is almost invaluable. Like we as Black people look at therapy as an embarrassing thing, but I went to therapy for years and years and years to help me with the trauma of my childhood, and it helped me so much to number one understand that it was not my fault, and number two to learn some tools to be able to heal from it. And therapy is not an embarrassing thing. It's a neutral person to talk to kind of hear both sides or whatever, and to determine what's the next step for you. And we as Black people need to go to therapy more. It's not embarrassing. You just have to find the right therapist for you, because it took me a while on that, but therapy is great. I mean, it can kind of help you get over those really tough humps, the depression, the anxiety, the embarrassment, all those things. Therapy can help with that.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Tasha, you had something to add?
Right. Well, all I was gonna say is breaking the cycle. That's what's important. setting those clear boundaries when they're younger, as their kids, allowing them to be themselves, and giving them, I would even say this, I would giving them the power now to be able to say no, or to identify what they don't want or what they don't like. That's, to me, that's what's important.
Okay. Sherry, you got anything to add about
And
therapy?
just back to what you said, um, put parents need to put back into a relationship with their kids that you're the parent and they're the child. There's certain boundaries you don't cross, and certain respect levels that you don't. And you don't put kids in predicaments where they have to deal with problems that grown people should be dealing with.
Okay. And so Sherry,
Right.
you and Tasha's comments, I want to bookend that by saying that's what you can learn to do in therapy. I want to make that the important part because that doesn't happen overnight. And so, like Shafana is saying, she said she went to a therapist, finding that a licensed therapist that you can confide in. And that's the point I want to talk about with Daracel, because we do as Black people, male and female, it's not a sign of weakness to talk to somebody. We got to, let me tell you something. We are broken people, folks. We got a lot of
Right.
skeletons, things that we do that we've covered and kept down for so long, and it's no wonder why we cannot even relate to each other. And so the idea that we have to go to somebody that we could talk this through, we've got to get away from thinking that make you weak or whatever. You know what? Sitting around smoking a blunt with your boys talking shit out, that's not the answer. Iron sharpens iron. And some uneducated dumb fuckers rolling blunts all day, sitting in the basement, telling you what you ought to do. That's not the answer. It's also not the answer getting on the phone, gossiping with another woman, female friend that's just as broken and misguided as you are. So guess what? It's okay to seek out somebody. I
Right.
like the fact that he said who's neutral. See, here's the key there. That person don't have a dog in the race. Sometimes when we go to people that we think are friends or whatever, let me share something with the audience now. Everybody don't want to see you win. And sometimes misery loves company. Guess what? So you think that
Right.
good girlfriend who can't keep a man her damn self want to see you win? And I'm not talking about real friends, but there are people sometimes we go to thinking that they're giving you some good advice. And let me tell you what happens in those instances. They'll hear you out to hear your business. And the moment you leave and hang that phone call up, guess what they're doing? Woo, let me tell you how fucked up this girl is. She's sleeping with everybody. Folks,
Yeah.
therapy, believe it or not, you have a neutral, licensed person who's qualified and skilled to listen and let you talk. Because guess what? I can't understate the value of having somebody to talk to. And that's why I wanted to share the importance of
Yeah.
therapy. And that's the thing. Number two, self-help meetings. It talks about if you object to seeing a counselor or therapy just doesn't work for you, because it's not for everybody, consider attending self-help meetings. I'm not going to read the rest of it. Anybody, why you think that might be a way to break the cycle? I want to see if you guys getting it.
Just hearing someone else's experience from it. A lot of times it's just easier to open up when it's like, oh, I went through something similar, and a lot less judgmental. All I hear kind of thing.
There you go.
And we blame ourselves a lot. So, oh, sorry.
Absolutely.
I was just
No,
saying
no.
that we blame ourselves a lot of times. So hearing this person that's not judging you and saying it's your fault, family is going to say, "Oh, it's your fault. You were doing this," and you. But a neutral person, it's really good to see a therapist. It really is.
Let me go on this self-help meetings as well. And I must say this, something I discovered for myself. Losing weight. Oh my God. It's a battle And I've discovered I don't have
Yeah.
the discipline and the whatever it takes to do it by myself. When I did lose weight, it was because I had somebody helping to push me. And so that same concept, I thought about this because what you said, Tasha, being able to share it in a group way, because you know what happens when you do that? You find out you're not by yourself. One of the worst things when it comes to anytime you're trying to fix yourself on something, we have a tendency to introvert and think we're the only person going through it.
Mhm.
So when you sit in these walls and you see yourself getting fatter and fatter and more unhealthy, the tendency, I'm using weight as an example, my own personal example, there's a tendency to think that, damn, and you do even worse habits. But when you get with somebody and you see, I'll give an example. I'm gonna go back to my club example. When I have gone to the club, and even recently before the COVID, when I would hate to go out to a sports bar because you hate getting dressed, you can't fit in no good clothes. But then you know what? You stretch a jacket on your fat back. You get yourself dressed up together. You walk in there, and it's always some fucker in there that's fatter than you. And then you kind of feel a little bit better, like, well, damn, not only is he a fatter fucker than me, he up moving around, and I don't feel too bad about myself now. So that same concept when it comes to self-help meetings, to be able to go somewhere and open up, like Tasha said, these are strangers, so there's less inhibition to be able to share things because you don't know me, I don't know you, y'all don't know this, but this show is my therapy. I feel safe sharing this because number one, all the faces on the screen right now I know love me. Y'all know my shit. The ones that don't know me, look, you're getting to know me through me revealing some shit. And if you don't love me, then okay. And if you do grew to like me or whatever, cool. But my thing is, I'm able to come here every week and get a lot of this stuff out because I said from the beginning, I don't understand what's going on in the dating world, and I'm asking for you guys to help me figure it out. So I learn from everybody that comes on. I really do. And Shafana, you're right. Even family sometimes don't want to see you win.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
My sister knows I have a saying: just because you family, don't mean you friends.
Right.
All right, number 3, psychoeducate. I'm sorry, Dee. I don't want to. You had a point?
No, I was just agreeing with everything you said. I mean, yeah.
Baby, thank you. Number 3, psychoeducation. The key to recovery may simply be a better understanding of what happened to you and its subsequent effects. So do some research and educate yourself on emotional incest. Let me say this before the guys you speak. When we put this topic out there, I know most people didn't know where we were going with it. Some probably never had even heard of the term emotional incest. So the idea that we can bring this to this forum, I hope that for some people, whether you're going through it or not, you can say, wow, I didn't know that. I learned something. And I hope you can examine your own relationships that you've had with your parent and the relationship you have or have had with your children, because it's not too late. So that's the part is creating a better understanding, because you know what we tell ourselves? What's the old saying? When you know better,
you do better.
You do better.
So anybody else want to comment on the psychoeducation portion?
No. Honestly, you've said it best there. We walk around with these phones in our hands, and they are so much more than just memes and porn. So we gotta really sometimes just take your time and just Google it. Just throw a topic into Google and just see. You'll be surprised what pops up.
Yeah.
You may not know the name of it, but you're gonna get an idea.
Yeah.
Woo! You said something there. We're the most educated generation in ever in time. Y'all two might be too young, Tasha and Dee, to remember Encyclopedia Britannicas. Me and Sherry know about that. When
No,
we
I
had to do
didn't.
homework assignments, me and
So,
No.
what you know about an Encyclopedia Britannica?
Yes, I do. Yes,
Yeah,
we just had it on like a CD. You put it in the computer. That's all that
see,
was.
see, we didn't have no damn CD. Sherry, when we had to write a book report, you really had to go get a big ass encyclopedia
Yeah.
and think about
it
where
was
we
true.
are now. That iPhones and Android phones that with blazing speed, we can look up anything we want to educate ourselves. And Tasha, you're right. These little computers, they are much more than porn and fuckery.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
And believe it or not, guys, y'all younger than me, but I learned a lot from y'all because just like the computers, I don't know a lot about it, but I'm learning. And
There
y'all
you go.
we coming on here every week, and I got to know y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all teaching me a lot about a lot of things. Really, really.
Thank you for saying that because that's another point I want
Mhm.
to say. A lot of people are scared to come on because Sherry, they older and they think you can't learn nothing from young people,
Now, yes, you
you
can.
know. And so I'm an educated man. Oh my God. I've said this saying all the time. True education is everything you don't know. It's not about what you know. Real
Yeah.
education is realizing just how much you don't know. I don't care who I come in
Yeah.
contact with. I'm trying to take something from you.
Hmm.
I'm trying to get something so that that can
Learn
stick to me.
from
So when
it.
I hear little sayings from a D or from a Tasha, from a
Mhm.
Terry, from that sticks in my brain, and I'm like, my brain is like Jeopardy. I'm filing that away because I'm thinking I'm gonna have to use that at some point. I'm gonna need that at some point. So it's learning from each other. The last one, guys, is called journaling. Writing things down has proven to relieve stress. Whether you're simply overwhelmed by the day's events or you experienced emotional incest as a child. So try writing down your experience with it, as well as how it makes you feel or how it affects your day. It may just provide some comfort or some relief. Anybody, because I got something to say. Anybody.
It's so true. Even though you may feel silly writing it down. I know sometimes I can feel like that, but it validates your feelings, is what it does. It validates it. And that is so important to know that you can feel how you feel and it's okay. Even if you write it down and just burn it afterwards because you don't want anyone else to see it or you destroy it afterwards, but get it out. You need that outlet if you don't feel comfortable talking about it to someone else.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
D
Yeah.
Sherry, anything? I'm sorry, go
And,
ahead, sis.
and as you always tell me a lot of times, write it down. You know what I'm saying? It's like speaking into existence. It makes it real. You tell me that all the time. Yeah.
D, you got anything to add to that? D, D, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I just want to say you really created sort of a therapy session here with us all because a lot of things that I've never said out loud, I've told you guys on here. And I
Wow.
feel like that's, a lot for a lot of people that watch this show. There's a lot of things that they're afraid to say, but I feel like this is such a safe space. You guys love me. I love you all. So I can tell judgment, or anything. So it feels very comfortable to be able to talk to you guys about, some of my most personal stuff that I've never shared with anybody. So yeah, this is my safe space right here.
Thank you, baby. And as you see, I've done the same. Me and my sister grew up in the same household, and we've
Right.
learned things about each other on this show that we never talked about. So I thank you for saying that because that's the most thing I'm proud of. That I look forward to this. Let me tell y'all something, and I'll get to the write down
Yeah.
part. I've worked all day. It's been a hectic day. I've had to get numbskulls started in school. I've had numbskulls on the phone. I got off an hour later than I was intended to. But I'm happy, in the sense that my day went pretty good. But every show I look forward to because I need to see y'all faces. And what you said, D, I know it's a safe place for me. I know all the crap that I lay out here. Number one, I can go lay down and watch TV tonight because it was said in a place where y'all, I said it a second ago, y'all don't judge me for it. Y'all don't judge me for it, you know, and I know I feel safe in saying that. And to even the audience out there, I post these videos. I don't care if somebody go back and they say, damn, he said what? For me, this is real. This is my truth. And it is what it is. To piggyback on that, the writing part down, anybody who knows me or maybe not noticed about me, I've always got a pad and a pen next to me, even by my bed. When I wake up in the middle of the night, an idea hits me. I write all kinds of shit down. I have so many different notes all around. Sometime at the beginning of my week, I have 4 or 5 notes with different things scribbled on, and then I have to start my week by organizing, because what I do is something that is important to me or that I need to address or look up, like you said, Tasha, or think. I jot it down before I forget it, and then I organize that so I can set my week. I know when I start my week what's my priorities, what I have to do. Then I have my second list of things I try to get to. I have Amazon pulled up and Walmart pulled up and Room to Go because I'm looking at furniture, this and that. But to the point of recovering all these things, even the stuff that's on my brain that I know, like I talked about my weight, for example, and my issues with intimacy with women, because again, everybody know I don't like to. I research that. I write those things down, and I set goals. Okay, well, let me try to be better at this or do this a little bit better. I don't always achieve it. Just so you know, there's many a week where, damn, I didn't get that done at all, and I didn't make no progress here. So I write it down again. So Sherry, when I tell you, write it down, because it's real and it's gotta stare you in the face, because now you can't escape it, because you're seeing it. That, okay, I didn't do that. I haven't got to that yet. It's real. And so when you're feeling overwhelmed, like they say, now I don't feel like necessarily I went through any emotional incest. I'm grateful that my mom didn't cross no boundaries in that sense, but we have some issues. My mom wasn't a very affectionate person in a sense like that. So I'm always cognizant of how that shaped me and how that plays into how I deal with the opposite sex. And I think that's why I share so much, because growing up, we didn't share anything. Right, Sherry? So for me now, breaking that cycle for me is I'm not holding shit in, you know, that I'm going to tell you how I feel and what I'm thinking. And that's for me very therapeutic. So that's kind of how I deal with things. So that's the show, folks. I thank everybody for tuning in. Shafana, I miss you, and Bert. Please come on again. I would love for you guys to be as regular as you can. I love your views. Jenny, for popping in, at least checking me out. Comma Dizzy, thank you for posting some questions. Lynette, sweetheart, I'd love to get you on camera. Anybody out there watching, I'll say again what I said at the top of this. You're so welcome to come here. I hope you're seeing that this is a safe environment. We don't judge. You don't have to say a whole lot. I'd love to see your face. Please be a part of this. I'm trying to grow this show one subscription at a time. I hit a milestone yesterday. I'm at 50 subscribers, and that's not a whole lot, you know, but I'm at 50. You know, I should be 3 times that. But as we all know, it's hard to get African American people to support you and to tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend. So I'm gonna have to put it out there once again. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please take the time to go to YouTube. It's called Real Talk for Real Men. If you feel like you can't find it, let me know. I'll send you the direct link. It literally takes you 2 minutes to click on subscribe, literally. And I'm imploring you guys to support me, please. because I want to continue doing this and grow the audience and have bigger topics. And I got a much bigger plan in place for it anyway. So for you guys who come to watch this video afterwards, if you see this, take the time to please subscribe. Tell a friend. I beg you to tell 1 or 2 people that, hey, there's a guy trying to do something positive. Take 2 minutes of your time. Subscribe. If you don't plan on watching forever, that's okay. It's about support. We're the only people on the face of the planet that do not support each other at all.
Yes.
It really makes no sense that I have 50 subscribers, but 150 friends. And I got friends on here who have 300 friends.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that you guys have told others to subscribe. I got family members that peek in that have not hit the subscription button. I'm not here blasting you out. I'm asking you to take the time to subscribe, please. If we got time to spend looking at what's their TikTok videos, and if I post some foolishness, it gets 100 likes. You know, something as important as this, I'm asking you is to hit the subscription button. Tell a couple of people that, hey, somebody's trying to do something that might actually help the humankind, help other people. Hell, it might help you. So I'm asking for you to comment on my videos, hit that like button. Please share it with other people. We are talking about some valuable, important things here. And most importantly, please subscribe. That's what's going to allow me to continue to do this.
Yes.
So that's my plea. I'll let you guys have the last word on a Wednesday, another edition of Real Talk for Real Men. I'll let anybody have the floor.
I think you've summed it up pretty well. I don't know if anything else can be added to that.
All righty. Well, thank you guys again. I can't say that enough. Been a good day. It's been a really good day. Thank you, Sherry, D, Tasha, for your views. You guys make this show. You make this real, and I love seeing you guys. I thank y'all more than y'all will ever know, seriously, because y'all show up week in and week out. We challenge each other. We push each other. We learn from each other. We love each other. So thank you guys so much. See you on Saturday. And again, if you guys have something you want me to talk about, let me know.
Okay.
Everybody, it's been another great edition of Real Talk for Real Men. Enjoy the rest of your week until I see you on Saturday.
Bye.